from the Hurricane Center and a new forecast track on this is Hurricane Dorian. Just about 100 miles off our coastline. The latest has it stationary on the north end of the Grand Bahama, and slowly the trend the last 12 hours has been for a drift slowly north-northwest. So it is slowly moving, but the official advisory at this point near stationary. There's the 12-hour loop, so you can see there's this kind of gradual north trend, but that's over half a day. So it is a very slow mover, and it continues to batter Grand Bahama after, of course, yesterday moving through the Abacos. So we're looking at about 10 to 20 miles in the last 24 hours. Just a real slow mover, and the bands still coming in, and more bands working through tonight. Gusty winds, had reports of 40 and 50 mile an hour wind gusts in some of these feeder bands, and the distance is about 100 to 105 miles off our coastline. So here's the new forecast track. The wind's now down to 145, so we're starting to see that drop in the wind speed and the pressure beginning to fill in. It got down to 910 millibars last night. That's when we had Category 5 with the winds at 185 miles an hour and stronger gusts. But this new forecast track continues with that turn north-northwest and picking up forward speed. So 2 in the morning, just after midnight, it is just to the north of Grand Bahama still, and then continues to race off, and it gets caught up in the trough, the upper level winds, and that starts to dig down, and this starts to accelerate up north after that. We are out of the error cone at this point. There's a pretty high confidence that this will continue to stay off the coast. We'll still obviously get the outer bands from it the next 24 to maybe 36 hours, but the computer model runs this afternoon, including the Euro and the GFS, and the red line there, that is the new forecast line from the National Hurricane Center, all lined up and staying offshore. We, for the last few days, have had several models that have been persistent in bringing this to a landfall around the Cape and bringing it very close to the Treasure Coast. Now, it's still close enough that we have some significant weather with these bands working through tonight and tomorrow. So there's still a chance for power outages. We have about a medium chance across Palm Beach County, and inland a little bit less. At the coastline of the Treasure Coast, about the same. So what about this wind field? So the tropical storm force winds brushing along coastal Palm Beach County. That's 11:30 tonight, and then moving up into the Treasure Coast, but also hanging back in Palm Beach County, more the coastline rather than around the lake. And it's going to be through Tuesday where we get gusty winds, eventually northwest and then eventually west. And then as the storm pulls away, those winds late Tuesday, early Wednesday will start to go toward the southwest. And there's Wednesday morning. We're just getting the tail end of those gusty winds rolling away. So it is through Tuesday that we have the potential for tropical storm force winds, at least in part of the area. Here's a breakdown. We're going to go and get into some local areas here. So Sebastian, Vero, Fort Pierce, right now, we're in the gusts of 30 to 40 in spots. 11 o'clock tonight, picks up a little bit. You'll start to see some areas here that see over 40, and then we climb up around 45 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts, not sustained winds, but wind gusts. There's Tuesday, so this is tomorrow morning around sunrise and into Tuesday afternoon. There's 5 p.m. This is really the strongest part of this, so strong north wind here at 50 to perhaps over 60 miles an hour in spots, and then it starts to decrease as the storm starts to pull away. The winds are west to east at this point, and that's Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. A big improvement. Still very windy, but a big improvement from what is expected on Tuesday. All right, Port St. Lucie through Stewart, down through Hope Sound and Jupiter. North winds tonight, 40, 45, maybe gusts to 50. There is 11 o'clock tonight. You can see that 51 in Hope Sound. This is just a rough estimate, but it does give us a pretty good idea that they do pick up tonight. They pick up again tomorrow, 7 in the morning, 50 to 55 mile an hour wind gusts, and then 5 p.m. almost 60 miles an hour. So Tuesday is a very windy day, and the winds eventually going from northwest to west Tuesday night, and then eventually starting to let up a little bit. 30 to 40 mile an hour wind gusts are still significant, but a lot better than 50 to 60 on Tuesday. And here's a look at Palm Beach County. So some of the lighter winds will be back toward the lake, but the strongest winds in the next few hours right along the coast. Northwest winds 30 to 40, maybe even 45, Jupiter and Juneau, and around Tequesta. Tuesday morning, there's 40 to almost 50 actually around, again, northeastern Palm Beach County. And as we get into tomorrow night, starting to let up again and shift west a little faster because it's a little farther away from the storm center. And there's a look at Wednesday, a big improvement here. Gusty winds, southwest winds, 20 to 30. Now there's a storm tonight. So it's one band after another, and we have another one arriving to Fort Pierce and Vero, and this just pushes down through 95 and the Turnpike into Palm Beach County through the evening, and we're getting reports off and on of some gusty winds reported at some of the sites. So if you have to drive, take it easy. The winds are very gusty, and they'll continue to pick up through Tuesday and then let up Tuesday night and Wednesday. Not let up completely, but definitely a little bit better than they will be when they peak on Tuesday. So some good news, and we're starting to see somewhat of it's almost a drift north, and the official forecast keeping it offshore, but it still really hasn't made that forward motion that we're looking for. It's stationary now, and hopefully at 11 o'clock, even 8 o'clock, we might see a little bit more track to the north. That's where we want it to go.